Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Kent for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry, Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best dentist I've ever gone to, the only dentist I've gone to the last 27 years. Make an appointment to see Dr. Mike O'Neill today, 317-849-2933. When you got a chance to hire the best, you do it. It's a great rule of business. Let's talk about sports. First, hit subscribe, hit like. Ring the bell, do all that stuff, and hopefully Mike Woodson is able to ring the bell for Josh Nickelberry. Josh Nickelberry is a potential transfer. Went to Louisville the last 2 years, injury-plagued 2 years. He needs a fresh start. So he's being contacted by a bunch of schools, including Clemson, including Elon, bunch of schools. He's not being recruited at the same level he was when he signed with Louisville. And there's a reason for that. There's been arthroscopic surgery on a knee. There's been an ankle issue. But Josh Nickelberry is a volume scorer. 6'4", kind of slight, 205 pounds. He came to Louisville. He was skinnier. He got in the weight room. He built himself. He did not shoot the ball well at Louisville, hitting 24% of his threes. But he scored 2,904 points as a high schooler in North Carolina, second leading scorer in North Carolina high school history, hit almost 900 points as a senior. And so he's a guy who can shoot. And we found out yesterday that the Xavier Johnson transfer is official. Mike Woodson made comments. He wants to add to the backcourt, and he should, because Armaan Franklin is gone. We know that. Armaan Franklin's gone to Virginia. Al Durham's gone to Providence. So there's some room at the end for guys to get minutes in the backcourt, despite the fact that some do return, including Parker Stewart and Christian Lander and Rob Finney. So they need guys, according to Mike Woodson, I think, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. They've got 12 guys under scholarship right now. They've got up to 14 slots available because of the COVID exception. You know what? The longer the end of the bench, the more headaches there are for a head coach. You can't keep everybody happy. And the longer the group of guys at the end of the bench, the more they're going to kind of cling together, and the more they can create problems if they're not managed correctly. That's just the way it is. It's that way in summer basketball, high school basketball. You don't need that long a bench. However, Indiana does need to upgrade. A lot of the people who have said things like, hey, you know what? Why is everybody so happy that all these guys are coming back to Indiana? I totally get it. Indiana finished 10th in the Big Ten last year. If they roll it back with the same guys and don't really upgrade, what do you have? You've got Joey Brunk coming back. You've got Logan Duncombe coming in. Parker Stewart's going to be eligible, but Franklin's gone, Durham's gone. You got some roster turmoil, and it's understandable that fans would be a little bit nervous. It's understandable Mike Woodson would be a little bit nervous about the group coming back if you want to win in bulk in 2022. Let's talk about Paul George for a minute. The Clippers are coming to town tonight, and here's why I got no problem with Pacer fans booing Paul George, because Paul George lied to us. I don't mind a guy who he's from Palmdale, California. He wants to play in LA. I got no problem with that. If he had just said, I'm an LA guy. It has always been my dream to play at home. Indy's treated me like one of its own, and you'll always have a place in my heart. I'd love to finish my contract and then head to LA, but I want the Pacers to have a chance to build for the future with whatever they can get for me. If he had said that at the softball game, rather than the line of crap that he proffered to fans and now continues to say ridiculous things defending what he said, if he had just told the truth, hey, I want to play at home and I want to give the Pacers a chance to go get some guys and build for the future, I'd have no problem with Paul George. I'd feel good about Paul George, but that's not Paul George. What Paul George did was lie. I don't like liars. I don't mind booing liars. I don't mind people who do boo liars. There's got to be a consequence, and I hope that consequence is visited on Paul George tonight every time he touches a damn ball. And if that makes me a child, it makes me a child. I don't like liars. I don't like people who deny the truth. and that's Paul George. So what are you going to do? Oh, by the way, if Indiana wants to go get a guy who's in the transfer portal who would be really, really interesting, 7-footer Omar Ballo out of Gonzaga is in the portal. That would be an interesting guy. He's a 5-star guy. Got all 4 years of eligibility. He would be interesting in an Indiana jersey, I think. Let's see if they get him anyway. Game time tonight for the Indiana Pacers, 7:30. Pacers have won 3 in a row. They're playing better basketball, coming off that win against Memphis the other night. That was kind of fun to watch. Pacers not always fun to watch, especially late in games. But the other night against Memphis, I kind of dug it. It was fun. Purdue's Trevion Williams is entering the NBA draft. However, he is not hiring an agent, so he is maintaining his option to return if he so chooses. Trevion Williams is really, really important to the Boilermakers and their hopes for success in 21-22. He is a terrific scorer, 16 points a game almost, a really good rebounder, obviously, and then he's an adept passer, really good passer. He's a guy kind of around whom that whole Purdue culture sort of circles right now. And should he go to the NBA? Should he not go to the NBA? Hell, if you can get drafted, go ahead and go. But if you're not going to get drafted, not so much. He's done a great job, Trevion Williams has, of getting his body in shape to be able to play in the NBA, be able to play Big Ten basketball, be able to play at the next level. Kick the tires, stick your foot in the water, see what the temperature is. I got no problem with that. Maybe you get some feedback from NBA scouts and NBA general manager types that will allow him to be a more prepared NBA draftee next year. No problem with that at all. Yesterday I said to Paul Lusk, I said he was coming over because he was no longer the head coach at Missouri State. I omitted completely 3 years of his career that he spent as an assistant coach at Creighton. I just forgot he was an assistant coach at Creighton. I knew he went to Missouri State to be the head coach. He also went to Creighton as an assistant coach after that job at Missouri State went away. So there's that. Julian Edelman retiring at the age of 34 from the New England Patriots. Makes it harder to hate the Patriots. But I think as long as Belichick's there, we got really a pretty good case to detest the New England Patriots. Julian Edelman retiring. What a career he's had as a converted quarterback. Came into the pros, learned the wide receiver position, became a great possession receiver, and really one of those guys around whom the Patriots sort of operated, right, and built over the years. Never the best athlete on the field, but a really, really good athlete and a terrific winner as a wide receiver for the Patriots. Congratulations to Julian Edelman on a terrific career. I want to talk about the Colts for a minute. We talked about it yesterday for a minute on Inside Indiana Sports Now. But there's a story in The Athletic that I think is really important as it concerns the Colts, because the Philadelphia Eagles are so different from the Colts in the way that they're constructed. The Eagles with Jeffrey Lurie as the owner, Howie Roseman as a general manager, and then Doug Peterson to this point over the last 4 or 5 years as a head coach. There is a lot of crossing streams where it came to responsibilities. And really, NFL front offices, all front offices, in fact, this is true for a lot of businesses. If you have an owner who owns and does that well, a general manager who general manages, and a coach who coaches, you got a chance to win and be successful. If their roles are delineated and there's not a lot of crossover, if you've got a lot of crossover, if you've got an owner who wants to be the coach, wants to be the general manager, really kind of likes football, you got a tough row to hoe, because that person is getting involved in a bunch of stuff he has no business being involved in. Jeffrey Lurie is not a football guy. He likes to think he's a football guy. He's not a football guy. He sticks his nose in where it concerns Roseman, where it concerned Doug Peterson, and is now going to concern Nick Sirianni as the head coach, a former offensive coordinator for the Colts. And he has no business doing that. Jim Irsay, as the owner of the Colts, Does not do that. He owns and he manages Chris Ballard. And Chris Ballard manages Frank Reich. And those guys all have their own fiefdoms in which they have latitude to operate. If you've got that kind of a system, you've got a chance to win a lot of football games. And the Colts, they do. And the Eagles, they don't. And that's why the Eagles have plummeted over the last few years from Super Bowl champions to the last place team in the worst division in football. Let's celebrate some birthdays. The great Bob Crotty celebrating a birthday. Are you kidding me? J.D. Dameyer, Chris Wassel, happy birthday. Mark Shannon O'Neill, happy birthday. The great Nathan Roush, happy birthday. John McDonald, happy birthday. The great Joe Robinson, the great Brenda Tucker, happy birthday. And Dennis Constantine, happy birthday. If today's your birthday, you celebrate like hell. If it's not your birthday, you celebrate somebody else. That's best done with an honest and specific compliment. Today, inside Indiana Sports Now, maybe we know something as we move forward today about Josh Nickelberry, the guard out of Louisville, and where he's going to transfer. There aren't a lot of teams or programs of Indiana's kind of ilk in their stratosphere talking to Nickelberry, so maybe Indiana's got a pretty good chance. You've got really Clemson, Grand Canyon, Wichita State, Elon. Love Elon. Mike Schrage, great guy. Andrew Dockich on the staff. You kidding me? Elon. Wonderful place. But it's not Indiana. We'll talk to you about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Can't wait. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself today. Make today a little bit better for everybody else. All right? Don't be so selfish.